This is Greek with David Hutchison. Present tense. The aspect of the present tense is imperfective. In terms of its kind of action, it's actionsart, it's ongoing or progressive. This is action in progress. The time of the present tense is normally present, although we'll see that special uses do occur, one where it can refer to a past action and one where it can refer to a future action. But those are the exceptions. The normal time of the present tense is the present. The first usage we want to look at is called the progressive present. Now remember what we said when we discussed aspect. We're going to explore what is possible for the present tense, but not argue that every single time a present tense occurs that it has to do certain things. So we're just exploring some of the options. One of the main uses of the present tense is to describe a scene in progress. This especially occurs in narrative literature. This would involve continuous action. So here, Mark 137, Pontes zetusinse. All are searching for you. That searching is an ongoing action in progress. John 4:27, te lales met autes? ? Why are you talking with her? So neither one of these says all search for you, which would be kind of general, but rather all are searching. They're actively in progress of searching. And it's not why do you talk with a woman, but why are you talking? So both of these are action in progress. This would be the progressive present. Another very common use of the present tense is called the historical present. This is where the present tense is used to describe an action in the past, but you use the present tense for the sake of vividness. This will often occur in narrative literature with the third person and with verbs of action. This may introduce a new element to the narrative, so it's kind of a switch type of device. You're carrying along, oftentimes in the past tense, with the aorist, simple past, and then all of a sudden you'll use a present tense to indicate that something is switched, sometimes a new character or a new location, something new. This only occurs in the indicative mood. Frequently you'll see it with the verb erchomai. So here's an example from Matthew 26:40. Erchetai prostus mathetas kai heuriske autus kathudentas. These are present tense verbs. Erchetai means he comes or he is coming, and heuriske means he finds. But when they're in this sort of a context, they will often be translated in the past tense. So if you're looking at your text and you see an English translation that uses past tense, but you say, hey, wait, this is present tense, well, what they're saying is this is a historical present. So very frequently you'll just translate it, he came to the disciples and he found them sleeping. This is the type of thing we would even do in English when we're storytelling. You're telling a story, so this guy walks right up to me and punches me in the face. I didn't say this guy walked up to me and punched me, past tense, in the face, but for the sake of vividness, he walks up, present tense, and he punches me. Now thankfully this is a made-up illustration. There's a use of the present called an instantaneous present. With this, the action is completed at the moment of speaking. This would often occur with a verb of saying or thinking. So it's not action in progress, but it's just action immediately completed as soon as it's spoken or as soon as it happens. So John 3:3, truly, truly, I say to you. Well, when did that saying occur? Well, right then. And how long did it last? Well, it was over that fast. So this is an instantaneous present. Here, the ongoingness is not in view. So you wouldn't have this idea of action in progress. Another one from Acts 25:11, Caesara epikalumai, I appeal to Caesar. Kind of an instantaneous action. If it's this sort of a usage, you're saying, I appeal to Caesar. If it's a progressive idea, you would say, I am appealing to Caesar. And then you would be focusing on the ongoingness of that appeal. Another use is called the iterative present. You might see the word iteration hiding in there, multiple iterations of something. So this is a repeated action, but it does not occur at regular intervals. So it's something that happens repeatedly, but not at a regular schedule. You might add the word keep or repeatedly or continuously. So Matthew 7:7, Aitete kai dathesete humin, zetete kai huresete, cruete kai enoigesetai human. So here we have some imperatives. Ask, but if it's this iterative idea, keep on asking. Ask, keep asking, and it will be given to you. Keep on seeking, and you will find. Keep on knocking, and it will be opened to you. So how do you decide if something is iterative? Well, it has to be a contextual decision. Does the context as a whole suggest that this is something that should be done on an ongoing manner? Another one is very similar to the iterative, but it's a little bit more regular. So it's called the customary present. This describes an event that is ongoing or regularly occurs. It's more regular than the one we just looked at, the iterative present. Now sometimes some syntax volumes will group this together with the iterative present. If you want to test it out, see if you could add the word customarily, or habitually, or continually. Luke 18:12, Nestuo dis tu sabbatu, I fast twice a week. So this fasting is a regular practice indicated by the context. The context tells us it's twice a week. So this would be a customary activity, a regular, ongoing, repeated activity. The nomic present makes a statement about a general timeless fact, or what is generally true. This is not action in progress. This is often a proverbial statement. Here you're just saying that something happens. Jesus, Matthew 7:17, Pon dendron agathon, carpus kalus poie. Tade sapron dendron, carpus panerus poie. A good tree produces, that's that verb poie, or makes. A good tree makes good fruit, and a bad tree makes bad fruit. So he's not saying a good tree is making good fruit, but he's saying something that's a general statement, a timeless fact. Now, if you look at this, you may wonder, why does he switch adjectives? First, we have agathon, which can mean good, and kalus, which can mean good. Well, look at this. You've got a dendron agathon, and you've got carpus kalus. That flows off the tongue well. A dendron agathon, or a sapron dendron, carpus kalus, or carpus panerus. Futuristic present. This is the use of the present tense to describe something that's future, but when you use the present tense, it can emphasize immediacy or certainty. So John 14:3, this is the upper room discourse. Kai eon porutho, kai hetoimaso topon human, pollen erkamai. And if I go and I prepare a place for you, I am coming again. Contextually, this is obviously future pointing because he's talking about leaving and then coming back. But he doesn't use the future tense to say, I will come again. He uses the present tense. I am coming again, emphasizing the certainty of it. Similarly, near the very end of Revelation, nigh erkomai taku. Yes, I am coming quickly. Remember, we don't know when the Lord is coming, but we do know we have to be ready today. The tendential present. This is when you're using the present tense for an action that's contemplated, or it's attempted, or it's proposed, but it's not necessarily in progress, and it's not even necessarily ever completed. In John 10:32, Jesus says, Dia poion auton ergon eme lithadzete. On account of which work of these are you stoning me? Now, they weren't actually stoning him at the moment, but they were going to stone him. On account of which work are you about to stone me? Are you going to stone me? So it's not action in progress, but it's something that's contemplated or proposed. Another one, Paul talks about those who are trying to justify themselves by works. And it's just a present tense, so he's not saying that you are indeed justifying yourselves, but you're attempting to justify yourselves. You might look that example up in some of your syntax volumes in the book of Galatians. The use called the durative present describes an action that began in the past, but it continues in the present. So see the word duration in there. Started in the past, the action itself is ongoing. It continues in the present. What you'll probably have here is some other words, and very often these are adverbs, that indicate the action began in the past. Sometimes this is called an extending from past present. What you might do is translate this with the word have or has. Here in Luke 15, a chapter on things lost and found, in the story of the prodigal son, Idu tos auta ete duluosoi. Behold how many years I am serving you. It's often translated, I have served you, to express the idea, based in context, this serving is not only going on right now, but many years of service. So, behold how many years I have served you. So this is a durative, a duration type of present. You could also do something called a perfective present. This would express the present state of a past action. Sometimes this is called the present of existing results. This one you could also translate with have or has. This one is infrequent. Now the difference between the previous one is this is focusing on a present state of a past action, whereas the one we just saw a moment ago, the action was ongoing even though it had begun in the past. So Matthew 6:2, Amen lego human, ap ekusin ton misthon auton. Jesus is talking about people who want everyone else to see what they've done, to show off. And so Jesus says, well, when people see them, truly I tell you, they have received their reward. It's present tense, so if you want to translate it purely present, you would just say they received their reward. But what he's saying is that when these people look at them and stare at them and they get the attention that they want, well, they've received their reward. The last thing we want to look at here is when the present tense is retained in indirect discourse. This is not a syntactical category, but this is just something that happens in Greek, and so you want to know why it's doing it. So in indirect discourse, Greek normally retains the tense of the verb as it would have appeared in direct discourse. Direct discourse is essentially something like comma quotation marks and then the discourse. I say to you, get up. Get up would be the direct discourse. Indirect discourse would be something similar to where I told you to get up. It's not the quotation, it's not the exact words, but it's kind of the gist of the reported speech. In English, when we do this sort of a thing, the tense of the verb is pushed back. Greek retains the normal tense. Now, this is different than the historical present. I think this example will help. Mark 2:1. Ekusthe hati in oiko estin. It was heard hati that he was at home. What was heard? He is in the house. It's not reporting the quotation marks. Here we have hati. It's introducing this content, this discourse. It's indirect. It's not the direct words that were said, but it's a report. It's this indirect discourse. So in English, here we would say he was at home. It was heard that he was at home. But what Greek did is it kept it in the present tense. It was heard that he is in the house. He is at home. So Greek tends to retain that present tense, whereas in English we would push it back. So when you translate it in English, since your target language is English, you can do what English would do. So go ahead and push it back. But when you see it in the present tense and you say, why is it doing that? Well, because Greek retains that tense in indirect discourse.